named Zielstra. Zielstra said in the 1990 decade that in the next couple of decades, the Rothschild central banks are going to face intolerable insolvency, and the only way out will be for them to load up on gold in secrecy and send the gold price to $3,000, $5,000, and then $10,000. The central banks will do it to get out of insolvency. And you know, the follow-on effect of that is if they don't, they're going to become irrelevant. They're not going to become irrelevant, so they're going to buy gold. Number 9, the inflationary depression in the United States is becoming more and more evident. Falsified economic statistics.
Hello, Economy Express YouTube channel listeners. We're now going into the details of the title we're talking about. But before we do that, if you want more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell for more updates. Thank you and enjoy the video. Feel free to give your views in the comments.
Things simple as possible for maintaining sanity and when there's just too much on the plate. I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to learn what mBridge is. I believe it's some form of payment system involving gold. Okay, here's my simplistic perception. The BRICS are in absolutely no hurry to install other non-dollar options. They're in no hurry at all. They can rely on the Chinese yuan because China said on a temporary basis you can do that. In Eastern Europe, they're using more and more ruble for settlement. With India, Russia has a problem. India wants to use the rupee. Russia's saying, we'd rather you not pay us in rupee. And Russia would prefer the Gulf region types like the dirham out of UAE, United Arab Emirates. India is pushing back on that. We have now the blockchain that is being built out as a platform. That opens the door to XRP. Its on-demand liquidity makes it a great candidate. I don't believe the BRICS feel as though they're in any urgency to get their various options out there and to get their channels fully ramped up because they see a treasury bond default, because they see a government debt for the United States that's gone out of control. So there's going to be a lot of gold demand. And as you get the gold demand for higher prices, it's going to create fever. And I think the Eastern nations know that we're going over 3,000 for gold a lot better than the Western nations do. Therefore, they're going to continue with their gold load, increasing their gold reserves to make available the usage of the gold token. The gold token requires the parties to have adequate gold reserves behind the token. You can't just say, well, we're going to use the gold token. Well, do you have the gold behind the token? That's what they're doing now. It's going to be Russia, China, Persia, and Saudi providing the gold. And China will be more the dynasties than it will be the government. The government is, I tell you, the government, they're coming out with all this information about the People's Bank of China and all their increases in gold. Oh my gosh, they're buying probably 10 times that off the book. I'm looking forward to the various devices like mBridge, like XRP, like the blockchain. What else will the blockchain permit payments for? In what form? The blockchain for the BRICS. I'm thinking the digital yuan. I'm thinking the digital ruble. And there's going to be a digital rial out of Iran very soon. Iran and Persia, same thing. They like being called Persia, and the West calls them Iran. I like calling it Persia because this guy gets on my case. I got a client. He's living in Europe, but he's Persian. The West likes to think that Persia is really backward. Well, they're not. The West likes to think they're way behind in the nuclear development. They're not. The West likes to think Persia is way behind in armaments and weaponry. They're not. Nor are they way behind in their financial progress toward the Bitcoin, the cryptos. I believe China does not want standard yuan in the form of government bond. They do not want them in foreign hands. But I don't believe China has any problem at all with foreigners using in transactions digital yuan because it's backed by gold. If they have a lot of foreigners like the French and Italian and the Dutch all buy a truckload of Chinese government bonds, then China is vulnerable by foreign action. But if the same three countries own a bunch of digital yuan on the blockchain, that is not a risk to China. It's like the counterparty risk is eliminated. Okay. It's like holding gold, but on the ledger, blockchain ledger. Okay, these are exciting times, Chris, and I'm really jazzed. It's funny. The personal distress is increasing while the gold price is going up. And I've talked to you privately about some of the details, but please go sign up for the newsletter, golden-jackass.com. I've got the consult button in blue, and it's partly because I like North Carolina, the Tar Heels, baby blue. I'm available for consults. I do them every week, and I've done 720 of them in 4 years. And believe me, that is boots on the ground, additional information that helps me understand what's going on. The donate button is no longer PayPal or PayPuke, whatever you want to call them. I've avoided that nasty fascist wing. Hit the donate button, help me out, small or large. The sponsor button is for wealthier people who want to help me in a big way. And honestly, Chris, I fall to my knees and thank the Lord when I get a sponsor button hit, because it aids me in a big way. I need aid. I need to continue. And without that aid, I would have been gone 3 years ago. This is extraordinary. And I had some well-meaning clients say to me recently, Jim, do you think you're being attacked financially so that you'll go off the air and shut down your newsletter? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks for having me on, Chris. It's been great. And I always appreciate your support. And yeah, that silver Bernanke helicopter, it's just looking better all the time. I think it should excrete paper poop, though. So if we get the design team working on that, excrete paper puke on your silver helicopter. Boy, these are wild times. If you told me when I was in college that we would work up a $34 trillion debt by going off the gold standard with constant war for 30 years, I'd say you're crazy, you're drunk. And that is our reality. The way out is the gold standard. It won't solve everything. And I believe fervently the United States will be on the gold standard and will climb out of this depression in rapid style. We're in an economic inflationary depression.
And Jim, you did see that the Philadelphia Fed actually put out a paper in January studying the impact of a gold standard, and they did come to the conclusion that over the long term it does stabilize prices. So I thought that was an interesting one to see them pop that out there. World Bank also putting out hand guide for investment managers to invest in gold. So who knows? Who knows?
They're setting the stage for the Rothschild central banks to load up on gold quietly and secretly. And then once we get near 3,000, they're going to push it to 3,000 flat, 5,000 then in the following, who knows, several weeks. And in the following months, 10,000. And miraculously, the Rothschild central banks will work their way out of insolvency. And to do that, they need a lot of gold. You don't just buy, 20 tons of gold and, oh my gosh, we're out of insolvency because the price went up fourfold. That's nonsense. They got to buy a lot of gold, and they will not be selling it. Those people who think, my gosh, there's so much gold out there, it's going to go down in price. I say there are a lot of televisions out there, and they're not for sale, and the price is not going down. There are a lot of shoes out there. They're not for sale. The price of shoes is not going down. It's one of the dumbest arguments I've ever heard from smart people. Anyway, thanks for having me on, Chris. As you can hear, I'm losing my voice, but we're having fun.
Well,